Did you know over half of Americans live with a chronic illness, primarily due to a diet of too much sugar and refined carbohydrates? Health and wellness coach Susan Neal will give you some simple, practical ways to reclaim your health.
A decade ago, I suffered a health crisis. Whatever we go through in life, it ends up that those traumas and those issues, those situations, we want to help others. So my mission is to serve the body of Christ and to inspire them to improve their health and optimal weight.
Glad you could join with us today. Thank you, Dr. Patricia Phillips, for being with us.
It's always a joy.
Love it that you're here. You got to just be here every time. And Tony Lagares, it's so great to have you here.
I love joining you. It's so much fun.
I know. You know, during those years that we all couldn't get together, I missed you, and
it was
you're
hard.
back.
Yeah, but now we're all together again.
It's all working out. Yep. We have. They're bound and determined to make us healthy.
I know, I can tell. My God.
Lord have mercy.
We hear you, Lord. We hear you.
Should we get the message? Okay, so Susan Neal, you have so many titles, I don't even know what they all are. An RN, an MBA, Master's in Business, right?
Yes.
Okay, and what's an MHS?
A Master's in Health Science.
Oh, okay.
That's a whole lot of masters. Well, you spent a lot of time going to school, huh?
Oh, I did. My family called me the professional student.
You love it, but thank you for being here. And you have these books, 7 Steps to Get Off Sugar and Carbohydrates. Eat God's Food, A Kid's Guide to Healthy Eating. This is phenomenal.
Awesome.
It's really good.
What a great idea.
Thank you.
So
Thank
good.
you.
Yeah.
I need this for my grandkids because they love, you know, some of those. I'm not even going to advertise for these fast food places, but there's one they love in particular. So, and I fed my kids the same thing.
Oh, well, we all did. I mean,
yeah.
you know, we all did.
Yep.
Yeah.
So thank you. So why do all this, the learning? What led you to the books? All of that. Tell us
So
about
a
you.
decade ago, I suffered a health crisis.
Okay.
And I had an abscess tooth that ended up just wreaking havoc on my body. I had 10 medical diagnoses and 2 surgeries. It took about 1.5 to 2 years to recover. I had 3 different physicians and on and on. Oh. And so at the end, the physicians, you know, did all they could. I had to look at alternative methods of recovery. But I'm a nurse and I like to research. And anyway, you know how whatever we go through in life, it ends up that those traumas and those issues, those situations, we want to help others.
It's true.
Exactly.
That is our ministry.
It's true.
To serve others who have, you know, lost their health, like I did. So that is my mission. So my mission is to serve the body of Christ and to inspire them to improve their health and optimal weight. Mm-hmm. So I started out with writing 7 steps to get off sugar and carbohydrates, and my sister came to me and she said, Susan, I am gluten sensitive. I have got to get off of this wheat. And I was the health nut of the family already, so she asked me to help her. And I came up with these 7 different steps. It was great. She did a wonderful job. And then the next summer, she says, oh, I have rosacea all over my face. It's due to sugar because I went from wheat to eating sugar. Can you help me get off of the sugar? So we went through the 7 steps again, and she was very successful. She lost 20 pounds. Her joints quit aching. Her rosacea went away without any medication. And so I thought, well, you know what? I think I will go ahead and write a book on 7 steps to get off sugar and carbohydrates. And in the past 4 years, it's sold 20,000 copies. It's currently #1 in a couple different categories on Amazon. It has the bestseller sticker. It's hot, and it's written from a Christian perspective.
Imagine that. So you've written how many books altogether?
8.
That's amazing.
It is.
Okay, so one thing, we realize sugar is in absolutely everything.
It
And
is.
it's not enough. You have to add it. We all add it to other stuff.
Recipes,
Yes.
like you were saying.
Well, I was complaining because we've made my son, daughter-in-law, and grandkids. We made dill pickles, and one of the recipes had sugar in it. And we tried that recipe, and it was terrible. Some people like it. I don't like the bread and butter, the sweet pickles. Some people like it. But for me, I just thought sugar doesn't belong with a vegetable. Why are we putting sugar on our vegetables? You put salt all day long, right?
Yeah.
And that's fine. The more salt, the better. But that's not right. Don't listen to me. But I'm just saying this. But sugars, you look at the box of anything you buy, or a can or a jar, and it's sugars in everything, right?
true.
We can't get away from it.
Oh, it's so true. Yeah, I check on the back and see how many grams of sugar. And when I was raising my children, and we'd go through the grocery store, and they'd pick up, some gummies, or they'd pick up a granola bar, or they'd want a soft drink. And I'm like, so how many grams of sugar does it have in it? And they'd say 36 for the soft drink. I'm like, that's how many grams of sugar the American Heart Association recommends for men for an entire day.
Oh my.
So I would be like, no, it has to be close to 10 grams. So they would go through and pick out, and 12 grams in these granola bars. Can we have that? Yep, it's fine.
Well, I always think about, fruit is pretty sweet as it is. There's some that's more tart or sour. But then you have fruit juice, and then they add more sugar.
Yes, yeah.
So so that's our diet. That's what we're used to. What are the 7 steps? How do you get off of it?
Okay.
And what's the difference between sugar and carbohydrates? Because carbohydrates turn into sugar, right?
Right. So it ends up being kind of the same thing. So sugar is sugar, but then refined carbohydrates would be like the white flour, where they've taken the God-given nutrients out of it. So, and it's processed. So you don't want to eat out of boxes and bags. You don't want to eat something that originally was God's great grain. They stripped it of its nutrients, made it into a square, and then now it is sitting on the grocery store shelf for months because it has no nutritional value.
Why do they do that? Why do they take the nutrition out?
Because it extends the shelf life, and therefore the pocketbook of the food manufacturer.
So there you go. It's not about being healthy. That's not the reason. It's about the money.
Right.
And
Yes.
is it necessarily even just about what they take out, but don't they add
Yes.
kinds of things to it so that it extends the shelf life even more? And what does that do to the body?
The preservatives, right. And they add the preservatives, and then it goes into the gut, and then it kind of wreaks havoc on our good probiotics in there. And they add the salt and the sugar, even to like almond butter. They'll add sugar so that you buy more of that brand of almond butter.
Yeah.
Because it's addicting. It's
Very
like a
much
drug.
so.
Yeah.
Very much so.
And so in the 7 steps to get off of sugar and carbohydrates, because it is addicting, do you address kind of the withdrawal aspect of what it does to your body as you're coming off of it? Have you noticed any patterns in that?
Yes. In the 7 steps, one of the steps is like to begin. And once you begin, I tell people to start on a Wednesday, because then by Saturday and Sunday, they're going to be feeling the effects. They're going to be tired. I tell them to rest, relax, read, pray. That weekend, get through it. And by Tuesday, their clarity of mind improves. Their foggy brain goes away. They've got abundant energy, and they're feeling great. It takes about a week.
Wow. That should tell you how bad it is for your body if it's going to take you a week to get through those symptoms of it.
Yes, yes.
What if you do it little by little?
You can try that as well, and that might be easier, and you can do that as well, and also re-inoculate your gut with probiotics.
Right.
So you want to get those good gut buddies in there instead of the bad guys. So if you do it slowly, and then you also add your probiotics, it builds up your resistance to the temptation of the sugary foods. You could do either one.
So are the probiotics, is that like a supplement?
Yes. Yes,
Okay.
it's a supplement, but you can't get all your probiotics from a supplement, so you need to either eat sauerkraut or kimchi. And those are fermented foods that contain probiotics naturally.
Okay. Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's so good. What about yogurt?
No, yogurt does not contain enough of the probiotics. And, food can be so confusing because they say, oh, it's got probiotics in it, but it doesn't. It doesn't. Now, you had asked me previously about the 7 steps. So do you want me to begin with?
Please.
Okay.
Please.
So number 1 is to decide. That is the hardest step, is to decide.
I think it's like a good idea.
Yeah,
I
that's
should
right.
do that, right? But then it's
Good thing
actually,
to do.
deciding means actually you're going to act on it.
Yeah.
Right, right.
Okay.
So in the first chapter, I have you have an area where you make a commitment to God. And you sign and you write it out, what your commitment to God is for you to be able to take care of your temple that He has given you. So number 1 is to decide. Number 2 is to get an accountability partner and knowledge. It's like foods are confusing.
Yeah.
Okay, well, you would think that the yogurt has the probiotic, but it really doesn't have that much. So if you gain knowledge from, places that are vetted and substantial, then you are changing your mindset. You see, we have to go from thinking, okay, it's okay to go ahead and eat this, to, no, that is not healthy for my temple.
Yeah.
And I'm not going to. And the reason why is da-da-da-da-da. So the second step is an accountability partner and gaining knowledge.
That's good.
And then the third step is you've got to clean out the pantry, the refrigerator, the freezer, because food addiction is rampant today. And if you see that ice cream in that freezer,
That's true.
or you see those, potato chips in the pantry,
They call to you. You can hear them
They call
saying
your name. They
name.
do. They call out.
And
And
don't
you're more
clean
likely
it
to
out.
eat it too.
So you're not recommending we clean out the pantry by eating through the whole pantry. You have to be okay with throwing food away, is what I'm hearing you saying, because so many people are like, I don't want to waste. I don't want to waste that. I don't want to throw it away. I don't want to waste it.
well, you could finish eating it, but then choose not to buy the potato chips again. Choose not to buy the ice cream again.
Yeah.
Yes. Or you could give away the food.
There you go. Make somebody else unhealthy.
Well, they haven't decided yet. So,
They haven't.
they're
They
not
haven't
on that
made the
journey.
decision
Yeah,
yet.
yeah.
So.
you want to be a good friend,
That's right.
It's so good. If you don't have it in the house, you can't eat it
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
that's true.
in a moment of weakness.
Right.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
so good.
So that's 1, 2, 3.
3.
1, 2, 3. So 4 is to go ahead and buy all of your foods. So you need to go to the grocery. You need to have educated yourself what foods are beneficial, what foods are not.
And is that in the book?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. In fact, I have like a really great, in chapter 5, it has this, you've got a 5 is plan for the start date, and you have like day 1, day 2, day 3,
so good.
all the different days, because you have gone ahead and you have bought all your stuff and you know what to buy. And I include recipes.
Nice.
I saw that. I love that.
That's so good.
Yeah.
Yes, 50 recipes. And I even have like, okay, when you are having that sweet tooth and you just can't get around it, what do I eat? Well, I have an appendices in the back, and I tell you, okay, we'll buy some dark chocolate and melt that with your cookies. Not your cookies, with your nuts, and it looks like a cookie. It's like a mound of these dark chocolate. God gave us cocoa, you know, dark chocolate, and then the nuts. Or how about a green apple, which is one of God's foods, and then almond butter. But no sugar in the almond butter.
Yeah.
And that slathered on top, it gives you a protein, gives you the fiber from the low sugar fruit, and it curbs the sweet tooth.
Wow. You ever heard dark chocolate is good for you as opposed to, you know, other chocolate?
Milk chocolate.
Yeah. Do you know, can you explain why there's the difference there?
Good question.
The milk chocolate, sugar has been added to it.
Ah.
So 70% and up for chocolate hardly has any sugar. So I buy 70% or above. If you can handle 80 and 90% dark chocolate, that's almost pure cocoa, which is
It's
good
so
for you.
yummy.
Yes.
Tony's a really clean eater.
I started that journey a few years ago. So,
You're not going to go back either, are you?
no, I feel so good. And one thing I noticed is that my skin looked amazing. Like it looks so much better, my skin, as opposed to when I was eating all the processed food. And like you said, the rosacea, she had an issue with rosacea, and it cleared up her,
Yes.
skin. There's a lot of,
What do your husband and kids say? I'm sorry.
go ahead.
No, I just wonder what your kids and husband think about. Did they see the change in you?
They did.
Did they notice and say stuff?
100%. My husband wasn't on board when I did it, so I spent 13 hours in the kitchen. I had 6 crock pots, pans, ovens going to prep some healthy, clean meals and get them in the freezer.
Are you
'Cause
serious?
I knew I had to be able to grab something on the go.
Okay.
And so I did that, and since they weren't on board, I made them their things, but I snuck my things in.
Yes.
And they would say, this is really good. I'm like, well, that's from my eating plan. So he saw the difference in me and my energy levels and the clear thinking and everything. And a few months later, he said, okay, I'm in.
Were you nicer to him?
I was much nicer to him because I didn't have the blood sugar drops. I didn't have any of the addictive things. When you're addicted to sugar and you don't have it for a while, that hangry, that's a real thing.
It is.
And when you're eating clean and on a regular schedule, you don't have any of those things. So yeah, it did make my marriage a little happier.
It like improves your mental health because it decreases your crankiness, your irritability. It decreases depression and anxiety when you're eating clean.
That's amazing.
100%.
Oh my gosh.
It is.
I mean, you just don't associate all of that with clean eating. I mean, you just don't. You
You
know what I
say
mean?
that out loud, and I had to.
You
People
just do
try
not.
to get you to eat what they're eating, and honestly, I probably eat 95% clean on a regular basis. I try to eat 100% clean, but there are going to be times you're just at a church member's house and you cannot, because they're feeding you from their kitchen.
Right.
But I say that, and they go, "Oh, you can eat this. It's okay. Just once. It's not going to hurt you." But I said, I'm doing a cleanse. And it sounds official, so they don't try to manipulate
press
you
in.
away from your food. But
Yeah.
they associate it with a lot of work and a lot of dissatisfaction and not being satisfied with your food. And I find I love the food. It's flavorful. There are sweet things, and so you don't feel deprived at all.
No, you don't. You eat till you're full, and what you do is you switch from eating those refined things, especially so much wheat, which is processed, to eating God's vegetables. It's like God gave us 100 different vegetables.
And hummus.
Yes.
Yum.
With the instead of the chips to dip hummus with, dip it with red bell pepper, sugar snap peas, carrots.
Cucumbers even?
Yes. Yeah.
I do like hummus, and it doesn't have sugar in it, right?
No.
No.
Which
Not
is
if you make
from
it
the
from
store.
scratch.
Right.
So that was number 4.
And then number 5 was to go ahead and start the plan. And then number 6 is you're going to have to begin an anti-candida cleanse. And so if you have candida or a food addiction, you need to recognize, I believe in looking at the root causes for having these, you're eating in a manner that you don't want to. So what is the root cause? Is it emotional connection with food? If it's an emotional connection and we need some healing, I wrote Christian Study Guide for 7 steps to get off sugar and carbohydrates. If it's a candida infection, which is an overgrowth of yeast in your gastrointestinal tract, that's what I had. It is like a monster inside you, and it is craving sugar, carbs, and alcoholic beverages. And if you are craving this, if your listeners are craving this and they want to find out if they might have this overgrowth, I created a quiz for them to find out. And it's at candiquiz.com, C-A-N-D-I quiz.com. So, or is it a food addiction where you have like a biochemical change in the brain, and the same brain receptors are releasing dopamine that are released when you take opiate drugs? And I mean, you can't stop that with just self-control. And so I always incorporate into this using God's spiritual power, prayer, Bible verses. Put your Bible verse on your refrigerator, on your pantry. Tap into God's power. Speak those verses out loud. And so...
that's
so
so
how
good.
does that happen? You get that, the thing like it's like an addiction?
yes.
Or,
It
well,
is.
obviously, if you feel you're feeling good, like it's a drug, you're
It
going to go
is.
back to it. But what is it that happens in your brain?
Your brain, you release dopamine. So dopamine is released when, we take opiate drugs, when we eat sugary comfort foods, but it's also released when we hug our partner, Hug your husband, hug your children, your grandchildren. Go out for a walk around the block, go for a swim. Praise music. Oh, put that praise music on, lift your arms and sing. That releases dopamine from the brain. So if we understand this biochemical addiction, we can then go ahead and start coming up with a list of things that we can do instead of going to the food or the beverage.
That's so good.
It is. Very good.
Wow.
And then what's step 7?
Continue for the rest of your life.
Lifestyle. I love
Lifestyle. Yes, just like you. Yes.
that. Yeah.
That is so great. All right.
Amazing.
Can we talk about this one for kids? Eat God's Food, a kid's guide to healthy eating.
Yes. So,
Because we're just we feed the kids whatever.
right.
Like,
I was the macaroni and cheese and hot dog mom, so I'm right up there with
Yeah, me
everybody else.
Especially in this culture of hurry up, get to the football game, get to the
course.
baseball game,
Yeah.
get to the diamond, get to the practice.
Yes.
There's,
Yeah.
Very true. Very true. So, so 40% of adults have experience obesity, and 19% of kids do. And since I've been working on this for the past 5 years, that statistic's increased to 42%. So I'm like, okay, this book may not have been, it's like I need to work harder. So I thought, I am going to focus on children and write a children's picture book for 4 to 8-year-olds. And this picture book teaches them about the foods God gave them, not the food manufacturers. And it goes into the back of the book, it talks about junk food and how with that junk food, it changes the way your taste buds are. And it takes about a week or so that once you quit eating the junk food, then you're going to go ahead and be okay with eating God's foods.
Yeah. There's a lot of truth to it. My brother-in-law was having a lot of issues with his, he's diabetic, and he couldn't get it stabilized. It was always something, you know, in the hospital, out, whatever. And he decided to do a garden, grow his vegetables.
Wonderful.
I mean, I don't know where he got the idea from, but he decided to do it, and he's seeing the difference in his health.
Yes.
And I guess because he's staying off some of the processed foods or, you know, whatever else comes in the stuff that they do. But he's starting to see a difference. And he's not been in the hospital lately. He's not had a lot of highs and lows with his sugar levels.
Wonderful. Wonderful.
And I would contribute it to, you know, him eating healthy straight from the garden with all the processed stuff that goes in it and all the sugars, you know, that comes in. I guess vegetables too. I don't know what all they shoot and everything, but I'm just saying his is straight from the ground now. And
wonderful.
He seems to be doing a lot better because, I mean, he was really in and out, you know what I mean? So to the point we were concerned. It's just going in the right direction or the wrong direction. And he wasn't necessarily eating all the wrong things. I guess it's just whatever you eat, it's in there. Sugar's in there or carbs are in there or whatever. But so I guess I'm just saying I know it's a lot of truth to us doing the right thing. You know, so.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
So you've seen it in your own family, well, like you did with your sister, and like you were saying, that her skin cleared up from eating right.
Yes.
Well, we're out of time. This has been so great. Thank you for being here. And you have, what are your other books about, quickly?
I have one on gluten sensitivity, solving the gluten puzzle.
Okay.
Yes. And then a healthy living journal.
Just got to check it out. We all need this, right?
Yes.
Yeah, we do.
All right, send in your praise reports if you do this and it helps you. Have a good day. Bye.